Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. I rested today. I did a little bit of, getting out of bed and being like human, but I did. I rested and took a lot of small little naps. My body just needs it, I know when I'm doing too much and my body tells me to slow down, which it's kind of interesting because I can't go fast at all. It seems like my fastest is a regular person's slowest. So that's just the way my body is. And so my body was telling me to rest, so I rested. And like I said in my video, I think I made it this morning, that I definitely need to be spending more alone time with God. I feel it. I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my mind. I just feel it in my life. I feel it's so true when the Bible says draw near to God and God will draw close to you, or draw close to God and God will draw close to you. Because when you don't draw close to God and you just live your life and you stay busy, and God does not feel close to you at all. Even though he's right there, but you don't feel it as much as you do when you spend time with him every day. It's just like building a friendship. If you meet somebody, you got to work at it. You got to work at your friendship. You can't just expect, things to be super close and tight, right off the rip. You got to build it. You got to build that relationship. And so I feel like I've been slacking a little bit. So that's something I'm definitely going to work on. But tonight, I hope you don't think it's rude that I take a sip of coffee. I just think that hot beverages are so soothing and comforting. I made Dunkin' decaf. And because lately, I don't know what it is. I haven't been really wanting my tea, which is weird. I'm going through something weird. Like, my appetite's up and down. My likes and dislikes are changing. I don't know. These are the days where I really miss my mom, because I feel like as a woman at my age, sorry if there's any men watching, but oh well, we're all human. I might be nearing the change. The life change, the change. The woman change. And you can ask my husband, because sometimes he's like, what kind of mood is she going to be in? It's true, though. Sometimes I feel so weird inside. It is. It's like my likes and dislikes are changing, and my taste preferences are changing, and it's like my whole body's changing. It's weird. Anyway, so I bought some Dunkin' decaf because I like the taste of coffee, but I don't want all that caffeine, because I definitely don't need any more problems with my sleep. But anyway, I'm making this video tonight because I'm going to read us some more of our book, The Way of the Warrior. And I highlighted some things of our last read. We started Code 4 last week, or last video. I can't remember when I made the video last time. It's been a couple days. But we started Code 4, and Code 4 is the warrior frees their mind. And so I highlighted some things that we read. There is no territory more critical and difficult for you to take than that of your inner world. To find the freedom to win your ultimate battle, you must fight to free your mind. Every battle that you will ever face in the outside world must be first won in your inner world. So true. This is why the warrior understands that they must know themselves, that they must know their mind. And isn't that interesting? I just got done telling you that my mind is just changing, like my preferences. And it's like I'm trying to get to know myself, especially, I don't want to go off on a tangent because this video is for the book, but, being a late diagnosed autistic, it's like, it's weird. It's like I finally now have an answer for the reason why I am the way I am. But because I've masked my whole life just to try to appear like, normal, I'm now trying to find out who I really am, like who I really truly am. And I'll tell you a secret. You know what I absolutely love, and I don't even care that I'm 47 years old? I love Care Bears. I realized that I never stopped enjoying things that I played with as a child. In fact, I even have a straw cover that's a Care Bear. Now, these new age Care Bears are not the same as when I grew up. See, it covers my straw. It hooks onto the straw right there, and then the little Care Bear head goes over my straw. No, the Care Bears, the vintage Care Bears, were the best. And I'm trying to find them. I can't find them really on Amazon because they're still not the same. But I just love them. So I'm getting to know myself. And when he talks about you must know your mind, it's like I got a lot of work to do because I got to really work at finding out who I really am. And that's why I need to spend more time with God, because I want God to show me who it is, who I am, that he created me to be. Sorry, this vehicle or bike or something keeps going back and forth down the street, and it is so loud, so I apologize for the noise. I've also highlighted a heart filled with violence will never see a world filled with peace. That's true. The memories we remember create the barriers that we know. The memories we do not remember create the barriers that remain unknown. You must never forget to remember. When you know your mind, you know your memories. You choose your memories. Oh, this part, I highlighted some of this area. How do you stop your brain from overwhelming you with unwanted thoughts and ideas? Some days all you want inside your head is silence. I thought I was alone in the world with this battle, but just to know that someone else understood my struggle was enough to help me face it one more day. That is so true. And I'll tell you, that's one of the reasons why I started up this channel, because I want people to know that if they're going through something, and they can relate to me, or I can relate to you, you're not alone. And that just makes it feel so much easier to get through. And I've also highlighted, the warrior sees every raindrop and celebrates its beauty. The warrior sees the spaces between the raindrops and sees them as a way forward. So tonight we are going to read, let's see, might be a little bit of a longer video because I was kind of yapping in the beginning here, not focusing totally on the book, but I'm going to read a couple different topics. So just a few pages I'm going to read. So let's see what we have to say tonight. We're going to read right now about making the rain dance. Have you ever stopped to listen to the rain? Yes, I have. My wife Kim loves the rain. Whenever it rains, everything has to stop and I have to join her as she listens intently to the sound of every drop as it hits the tree branches and the leaves that remain after winter, and after it hits the ground and bounces back up in 1,000 tiny pieces. Actually, she hates getting wet, so she doesn't actually like the rain. She likes how the rain creates a sound that soothes her soul and calms her spirit. If you listen carefully enough, you can hear the rain dancing. Yet when we speak of rain, we think of it as a whole and not the sum of its parts. But in some sense, both of those perceptions are accurate. There's a unity, almost a communal nature to rain, in which it moves in concert, each drop to the other. Still, every raindrop is unique and solitary and independent of all the others. The perfect metaphor for perhaps the most difficult and critical discipline for the warrior is that your thoughts are like a rainstorm. They are both the single thought of who you are and an endless array of thoughts crashing against your soul. Oh, this author is getting me. When I was young, this internal reality affected how I related to my external world. It was hard to listen to people because it was so loud inside my head. What? He's me. School seemed to move at a glacier's pace. All my thoughts moved at what seemed like light speed, or at least they moved me into imaginary worlds. Sometimes I would find myself drowning in my thoughts. I look back now and realize that I was ill-equipped to deal with the world around me, so I created an alternative world within me. I'm just blown away at what I'm reading right now because I can relate. I quickly became more comfortable in the world I imagined than the world I lived in. It shouldn't be possible to lose yourself inside yourself, but I have become convinced that this is the only place where you can be truly lost. If you're not careful, your thoughts can become more dangerous than a bullet to the head. The warrior knows that their imagination is not a place to escape, but to create. The warrior retreats into themselves not to hide from the world, but rather to prepare for it. There is no surer way to lose yourself than to spend your life thinking about yourself. When you fully know yourself, the focus of your mind moves towards serving others. There's a little moth in here. Get out of here, little guy. When you fully know yourself, the focus of your mind moves towards serving others. To know yourself is to know the world. Okay. Had to get him. I think I got him. According to the Laboratory of Neuroimaging at the University of Southern California, the average human has around 48.6 thoughts per minute. That adds up to a total of almost 70,000 thoughts per day, meaning if you're on the lower end of the spectrum, you'll have about one thought every 2 seconds. If your brain is a bit more compulsive, you may have up to one thought every second. Imagine that, one thought every second. And I doubt that thought lasts only a second. And although the data on how many thoughts we have in a day is still more speculation than science, it is even more unclear how many thoughts we can hold in our minds at the same time. How many thoughts can go racing through our minds, moving through so quickly that we can't take hold of them? Yet every one of them finds its way to cut into the fabric of who we are. When Kim and I were first married, I was still trying to work my way through the torrential rainstorms that flooded the inside of my brain. She found me this way only once or twice, but I would often sit in the corner in a fetal position trying to get my brain under control. It's hard to explain what I was experiencing, but basically it felt like a barrage of endless thoughts ricocheting inside my head, refusing to be quiet. You know, to me, it sounds like he's describing an autistic meltdown or a shutdown. More of a meltdown, maybe a combination of both, like a meltdown going into a shutdown, because that's what it feels like. I have sat in the corner in the fetal position with my headphones on, my noise cancelers, and my husband just doesn't know what to do other than to just be near in case I just need him to come near me, but he knows to just let me get through it, because I will. And he's starting to learn a little. I feel bad for him. I feel bad because it's hard enough dealing with it. I can't imagine what he must go through not knowing how to handle watching me go through it. Autism is very interesting. Maybe this was the best thing that could happen to me, an almost crippling awareness that too many thoughts were happening at one time. It was in hearing every raindrop that I realized I needed to find a way to turn them into a cascade. If we as humans are so complex that these 3 pounds of gray matter can operate at such blinding speed that it causes computers to pale in comparison, how are we ever expected to find peace of mind? It may seem completely counterintuitive, but I also know what it feels like to be paralyzed at the other end of the spectrum. I remember being 19 years old and having no idea what to do with my life. Once again, I can relate. I had barely graduated from high school. I had no hope of gaining admission into a college. I couldn't even imagine a future worth fighting for. I was drowning in meaninglessness, and it had become a daily struggle to simply survive. Unfortunately, many of us are not struggling with too many thoughts and ideas. We are suffering from a mental atrophy that is the result of apathy, uncertainty, or fear. One of the curious things I have learned about the brain is that it is essentially a lazy muscle. That is why we are so teachable. Once we learn something, we don't want to unlearn it. Once we believe something, we don't want to unbelieve it. The mental structure that makes us teachable gives us the same potential to become unteachable. If you think you already know everything, there is nothing left to learn. It is ironic that most intelligent people are the most aware of how much they don't know. Genius isn't about what you know, it's about what your insatiable curiosity for the unknown. If you are not careful, you can trap yourself inside a closed mind. You have no future because you are living in the past. You see the world as lacking opportunity because you are blind to the endless possibilities around you. And arrogance makes the brain rigid. Humility allows our minds to stay open. While I was attending a seminar on neuroscience and cognitive development, it was stated that gratitude may be the most significant lubricant to mental osity and adaptability. I wrote about this many years ago in my book Uprising, and not only is the most advanced neuroscience catching up to what Scripture taught us all along. I know this is harsh, but small-minded people will live small lives because they can survive only in a small world. If you find yourself living in a world where there is only cynicism, negativity, and distrust, you need to realize that it's a world of your own making. There is a more beautiful world out there to be known, but you have to be able to see it. You have to want it. You must be willing to risk, to step outside of what you know, to live in a more extraordinary unknown. We all know the old adage about why the elephant with all its power can be held in place by a small rope and peg. This is because elephants remember when they were babies and they did not have the strength to pull the peg out of the ground. In short, elephants remain captive because their memories lie to them. They tell them that their past is their future, that what they experienced before will always be the reality that is before them. Remember, your brain is inherently lazy. It will retreat to whatever previously set boundaries and patterns you have established from your past behavior. That is why it's so important to always try something new. People who travel have significantly higher IQs than people who do not. People who read authors with different perspectives become more open-minded and empathetic. You can start with small things. Try new foods, meet new people, learn a new language, consider a new idea, and try a new approach. In other words, break out of the routine you have established for yourself and force... Sorry, if you heard that, I apologize. The loud vehicle just went by again. In other words, break out of the routine that you have established for yourself and force your mind to engage the new. This will begin to unlock opportunities and possibilities. This will open your mind to the beauty and wonder all around you. The ultimate purpose of knowing your mind is not to be limited by it. The mind of a warrior is postured in humility and textured with gratitude where it is most free. Almost 25 years ago, I was invited to an event in the mountains of North Carolina. It was there that I first encountered a renowned theologian who, over the past 2 decades, had become one of the most influential voices coming out of New York City. I remember that after his brilliant presentation, and frankly being new to the faith, I hadn't heard a lot of brilliant presentations, I risked asking him a question that must have seemed heretical to him, but was painfully personal to me. In the few moments that we were allowed, I asked him a question that might help me figure out how to bring 70,000 thoughts a day into a common narrative. Because in truth, for me, it didn't feel like 70,000 thoughts. It felt like 70,000 voices screaming inside my head. I don't know how crowded it feels inside your head, but sometimes all the different voices are determined to tell you who you are. It can feel like an overcrowded elevator where there's not enough oxygen for everyone to breathe. So I said to the theologian, Scripture tells us that we are to take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. This seems to be an impossibility. There are just too many thoughts to take captive. If you are having one thought every second, all you would do every second of your life is to try to take that thought captive to the obedience of Christ. I asked him in that moment, is it possible that the only way to take thoughts captive is by shaping a mindset or the creation of a worldview that once you've shaped your worldview, then it guides your thoughts? That once you have established a mindset, that mindset filters your thoughts? I must have asked the question wrong because I'll never forget his response. He said, "Be careful, it sounds like you're talking about mind control." It sounds like you're talking about mind control. I've come to the conviction that he was more right than he could have ever known. Your mindset controls your mind. This can be both good and bad. If your construction of reality has been shaped subconsciously by the influence of others and the experiences of your own life, you may be under the control of others far more than you realize. There are layers of language that describe this phenomenon. Sometimes the language you use is worldview. The concept of a worldview entered our language in the 1850s. It comes from a German word that is describing a comprehensive conception or image of the universe and of humanity's relation to it. Others talk about our mindset, which is also fairly recent language first used in the 1920s. And while worldview deals with our comprehensive view of reality, mindset deals more with our personal attitude, intention, or disposition towards life. When you know your mind, you begin to see that your worldview and your mindset are inseparable. If your view of the universe is that it is generative, creative, and unlimited in its resources, you will have a mindset of generosity and will engage life with open hands and a profound optimism. If your worldview understands the universe to be the result of arbitrary chance or of mathematical determinism, your mindset will filter out any proof that would support the contrary. In the most practical sense, what matters most is how you see your life, Your internal mindset designs your external world. If you believe the world is full of possibilities, it is. If you believe the world is filled with fascinating people, you will find them. If you believe the future is waiting to be created, you will create the future that is waiting for you. If you believe in love, you will find love. If you believe in hope, you will find hope. And the reason you will find them is because you will bring them with you. We don't simply find the world we are looking for, we create it. This is why the warrior must know their mind. Your mind is where your future is formed. If your mindset is formed by fear and anger, or by greed and envy, that's the only kind of world you will ever find. You will never fully understand that you found the world because you created it and compelled it to come. The warrior trains their mind to know the good and beautiful and true. This is the war they fight within themselves, and this is the world they fight to create. We have a warm word for the living in the past: tradition. In the theological world, it is known as orthodoxy, and in the world of science, it's simply called truth. You cannot take every thought captive one thought at a time. This would lead to madness. You can capture your thoughts only by proactively creating the filter through which those thoughts are processed. To begin to take every thought captive, you must ask yourself, where did those thoughts come from and how did they get into my head? The process of taking every thought captive begins by identifying the source of your thoughts and the filter through which those thoughts are sent out or allowed in. And I'm going to stop there. We're going to read in the next video about mind of your own. And let's see, what else do we have waiting for us? A mind for the future. A mind of your own and a mind for the future is what we're going to read in our next video of our book. So I hope you enjoyed that read. I'm trying to get the lighting right. It's a little bit bright for me, but probably dark for you. It probably looks like I'm reading in the dark. But thank you for listening along as I read this book aloud. It's just too good to keep to myself. I have to read this book to whoever else out there wants to hear it, because I find this author to be brilliant. I know I said it before, but it's true. And he mentioned in our, when I was reading, he mentioned a book that he had read before, or wrote before, and that might just be our next book that we're going to read. It was called Uprising. He wrote a book, another book called Uprising, a revolution of the soul. I'm going to try to find that book and read that next after this one. But I think we're on to this Erwin guy, or I am anyway. I'm going to read all of his books. So maybe we'll have the Erwin book club. Erwin, if you're out there, where does Erwin live? Does it say? It says Erwin Raphael McManus is an iconic, some of these words, I tell you, iconoclast, an artist, and a cultural thought leader for his integration of creativity and spirituality. He is the founder of Mosaic, a church movement started in the heart of Hollywood, with campuses across Los Angeles, Orange County, and Mexico City, and a global community that spans the world. Erwin is acclaimed author of The Last Arrow, The Artisan Soul, Soul Cravings, and The Barbarian Way. He lives in Los Angeles with his wife, Kim. But I don't know when this was, what this date of this book was, if he still lives there or not. I don't know. But Erwin, if you're listening, just know that I find your books to be quite fascinating and quite mind-moving and brilliant. He's teaching me a lot in this book. And I like how he uses biblical approaches to his writings, because that's very important. So, to me anyway. I'm sure it is to you too. So, the way of the warrior. We are learning how to be warriors, and we are learning the ancient path to inner peace, and in a biblical approach. So I hope you enjoyed this book read tonight, and I look forward to the next one with you. And with that being said, I'll let you go. I love you. You all have a great night, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.